Well, hi everyone. Thank you for joining me today for this live. Today I want to talk about embossing in wedding invitations. So, embossing is a very strong finish, like this one that I'm showing you, for professionals who work with stationery. Why? Because it adds depth. Like you can see, adds texture. It's very nice to touch, and it adds a more refined feeling. And it can make a flat invitation like this one that I showed you, and another ones that I'm going to show you after. Can make it feel much more premium with this type of impression. Okay, and looks premium without having that heavy feeling, you know, like it's not too heavy. When the design, the feeling looks very nice. Okay, so in this live I want to talk about 4 things: what embossing can add to the invitation, what kind of paper works well, how it can be combined, and especially with other printings, okay, printing methods that we have, and why is such a useful option for wedding invitations. So, first of all, what embossing adds to an invitation or to a wedding stationery? Embossing adds value through the surface of the paper, okay? So, it's not about the shine of the paper, it's not about the transparency of the paper, okay, like, for example, these ones that we can also play with, but today is not it's not our focus. And it's not also about the cut work, like in laser cut invitations, so it's about relief. And that's exactly what makes embossing special. You can keep the design clean. Let me show you an example. So, you can keep the design clean, and you can keep it elegant, especially if you work with typography, but invitation still feels rich about the touch, the looks, everything. So for many clients, this is a very good balance. And they want something, especially when they want something beautiful, something that looks and feels premium, and but they don't want like too much, you know. They want to keep it simple, minimal, elegant, refined. This is your type of clients for embossing. Okay, so embossing works very well in this field. It's very, very elevated, but still controlled. For professionals, this is very important, okay? Because you can increase the perceived value of the invitation without depending only in extra layers, okay? You don't need to add too much. You already have it. And without adding too much decorative elements, for example. It will feel premium with less. Less is more in this case. About the paper choices. So, let's talk about paper. I'm going to take this opportunity to show you our cotton paper swatch. So, do you see how many colors, how many options? All of these are cotton paper samples. So, for embossing paper, the choice of the paper is very important, okay? And from the Janie's paper side, in our flat invitation sample kit, if you get one, it's very nice and important to show to your potential clients, for example, because this is, you need to feel it, to touch it. You can see, and the sample kit shows embossing together with 250 grams of matte paper. My English is not so well sometimes. it's not so good sometimes. And also 300 grams, 450 grams, and 60 grams of cotton paper. So we have these options, and this will be the perfect paper to use if you want to make some invitations with embossing print, even if it's just a logo, or if you have a full layout with embossing. Okay, it's not that you can't do with other papers with less how we say, more thin paper. It's not that you can't do, but maybe will not feel so premium. And if the invitation will be like the main event, okay, maybe it's better to invest in a more thick paper. In this case, especially, of course, using cotton paper. So even with embossing products options, we also will find a list with several cotton papers, such as 300 grams of white cotton, or the 450 grams, 600 white cotton grams of paper. And we also have other options, okay, in the cotton stocks, in this case in ivory or a dusty rose, for example, like this one. It's very nice. So based on this line, cotton paper is clearly a strong direction to embossing, okay? And the cotton paper also helps that experience, the embossing experience in the invitation, because it feels softer, richer, and it's more premium in the hand, okay, like I told you before. So if I want to explain this simply in a client conversation, I would say it like this: 300 grams gives a clean and elegant premium feel. 450 grams and 600 grams give more weight, they give more body, a stronger luxury impression, but you need to contain a little bit with the extras, for example, okay? So this is a very simple way to explain the difference. Why embossing and cotton work well together? Cotton paper works especially well because embossing is a finish that depends on touch. And if the paper already feels beautiful and have a very nice feeling in your hand, the texture and everything, the embossing becomes even stronger. Okay, so the result is not only visual, is also physical. And that matters a lot in wedding invitations, of course, because the wedding stationery is part of the whole experience. Sorry. This is one of the reasons for using embossing, and why this can feel luxurious and without being too loud, okay, like we talked before. So like you see in this example here, let me show you, okay? This doesn't scream. It works in a quieter way, and many clients will respond very well to this type of invitation. See, this is not thin, okay? This is, if I'm not mistaken, of 450 grams. But even the 300 is very nice. Let me show you an example of, for example, this one is in white cotton paper, and in this one is in ivory, okay? See the difference? It's very, not even the color, but you can, I don't know if you can see in the live, this is more smoother, these have a richer texture, okay? So sometimes this is important in the bigger picture. So, where embossing works very well, or works best. Embossing works best when it has space, okay, to shine. In this case, it's very important. If the layout is too crowded, the embossing lose impact. Okay, but when the design has balance, embossing becomes much more elegant. It works very well for monograms, like here. Okay, let me show you. Even contain design, but with a lot of detail. Okay, like this one here. You see, it's a monogram, but you have embossing just around the letter. Or it works very well also with floral borders, like this one over here. See, venue illustrations, arches, like this one. See, frames, arches and frames, of course, and selected decorative elements and details. And this is one of the things that is very nice with embossing, is that he's very flexible. You can work with different elements and still looks good. Okay, so this gives to the design that you plan more focus and hierarchy. So it's very nice, and again, doesn't scream. Okay, you don't need to add color in this case to still look luxurious, refined, and a very, very nice detail to the invitation. So embossing has a main design feature. This is another important point. That embossing doesn't need to be only a small extra detail. Okay, so for example, if you go to janispaper.com, you can find a line that says sculpted embossed invitations. Okay, there you're going to find some examples that you can use our models, but you can always customize your own, which shows embossing has a strong design feature. Okay, not only has a small accent. So this changes how we think about embossing. Embossing can become part of the main visual language of the invitation. For example, let's take again this one. No, let's show this one in a different color. Okay, for example here. Okay, a floral frame can be embossed, like in this case over here. Okay, a venue illustration can be embossed. I'm going to show you a letterpress invitation, but the same thing, like this building over here, could be embossed. Okay, see, without even using the color. A monogram, like I showed you before, can be embossed, and even the names can be embossed, like this one over here. So you can always add texture in different elements. It's your choice. And allows the invitation to feel special through the shape, the surface, without the need to use color, like I said before. It's amazing. I love all our printing options. Okay, they all have a place. Today we are talking about embossing, but you can always match with different printing methods. Okay, like I showed you, this one is another premium printing method. Okay, letterpress. It's very fine, also very luxurious, very minimal and elegant. Okay, and embossing is the type of printing that can be combined with different printing methods and still work nice. Okay, so for example, again, in Janie's paper, you will find embossing combined with digital print, like in the previous ones that I showed you. Foil printing. Oh, I didn't show this one before. Let me show you now. Okay, see, foil printing in gold, amazing, with a dark paper. Okay, through 150 grams in this case, but still looks nice. You can you have embossing. You have embossing in the frame. See, I don't know if you can see. but let's hope to, that you can see. And also, so you can find also letterpress combined with embossing. They are almost brothers, okay? One goes inside, the other goes outside, but both have texture and both work super together, okay? So embossing doesn't need to do everything alone. So you can combine with different printing methods and elevate even more this amazing texture and premium feeling that you have when you apply embossing to an invitation or even in other pieces of your wedding stationery. Okay, so digital print you can carry in the main text. Embossing can add texture and focus. Letterpress can add more depth to the typography, for example. Foil, you can combine with foil. You can add then a little shine if that is needed, depend of your client, and also your art direction in this case. So the invitation becomes more layered and more interesting, okay, without too much scream. And for professionals, this creates a more complete finish strategy. Not only the need of one effect to put all the weight of the invitation in just one single detail, but you can do a combination of effects and elevate your final product, okay? So, beyond the main card, embossing is not limited to the invitation card. Janie's paper says that embossing can also be applied in envelopes, liners, and pockets. So be my guest and put your imagination working and apply in different surface. This is a very good point for professionals, because sometimes the best way to use more embossing is not place the embossing like everywhere on the main card, but you can put a little detail here, another detail there, and make everything feel together, that it is part of the whole. So you can add a little embossed pocket and then a little detail in the liner, also with embossing, and or have some embossed detail in the envelope. Okay, so this can create a very beautiful experience without overloading the invitation itself. So there are also some practical details that are very useful to know. Janie's paper says that the minimal order quantity for embossing is 50 pieces, so have that in mind. They also say standard production time is about 3 weeks after the proof approval, and expedited service is 2 weeks after the proof approval. Okay, so this is a good information to have in mind. This is useful because embossing is not only design choice, it also is a production choice. So when present embossing to the clients, make them know that will not be done tomorrow. Okay, so they should value, okay, the embossing experience, thinking about the value that will add to their invitation, but also together with the timeless need that we have to deliver. So to conclude, embossing is a finish that adds depth, texture, and more refined tactile feel. In this line, it appears especially strong with cotton paper, so I recommend you to have some samples kit to show to your clients, even for you to be more familiar with the product, and also to get a cotton paper swatch, okay, where you can see all the papers available and our principal recommendations to work with embossing. It's not that you just need to work or you just can't work embossing with cotton paper. You can also work with different our others paper options that we have available. It's just if you want a more premium experience, and if you want to add also more texture, and your invitation, you want invitation to become more tactile and looking a little more with more value, okay, we recommend you to use our cotton paper, okay, options. So especially the 300, 450 and 600 grams options, okay, we have several, so you can choose and play with it. It can be used in a subtle way or in a main design feature, like we talked before, and can be combined with digital printing, for example, foil, letterpress, okay? So you can play around also with the different printing methods. And for you professionals that works in this area, this is a very important add to our portfolio, and also for your portfolio of options to deliver to your clients. This is a very strong option, and especially when the goal is to offer something elegant, tactile and premium, okay? So this is one of the things, the main things that embossing delivers when you choose to insert them in your invitation. So with this note, I want to thank you all for being here in this live. I hope this illuminated a little about the options and our embossing work. I hope to work with you soon, and if you have any question, if you need help with purchases, or even to find some materials, or even for your custom design, please let us know. You can always write an email, a message, and we'll be there for you. Thank you so much, and see you in the next live. Bye-bye.